It's been 2.5 weeks since I got my 10. I dropped 1,000 and change. It's a lot of money to spend. Without a fingerprint reader to unlock and get me in, I gotta use Face ID for trying to use a pen. OLED screen, little bezels, build quality, high levels, top-notch cameras front and back. At this price you shouldn't settle, but is it truly all that it's cracked up to be? I'll give you my thoughts in this review. You tell me.
In 2007, the first iPhone priced at $499. 10 years later, that price has doubled for its newest release, the iPhone X at $999. Of course, after tax and depending where you live, it's more than $1,000. Tack another $100 for me in Chicago and we're well over the $1,000 threshold here. So what does a $1,000 plus phone get you? Let's start with design and build quality. The X is no doubt a high-end, well-built premium device. It's clean, minimalistic, and usually the trend for most flagship phones. Out of the two colors available, I prefer the silver version, which is more like white with chrome edges, reminiscent of its first model 10 years ago. I like that you can get a X in silver with a light colored back but a black front. Looks a lot cleaner this way. Apple usually gives you a white front if you get anything other than black. Ergonomically speaking, the iPhone X is comfortable in hand. It has a screen size that's similar to a Plus, but physically holds like a non-Plus iPhone. The main difference is a much taller display. The front of this phone is mostly all screen with just a bit of bezel surrounding it. Its physical dimensions and screen-to-body ratio is similar to my Galaxy S8 and my Essential. All three have a nice in-hand feel due to its smaller size but a big display up front. It's like the best of both worlds. The OLED screen that houses the iPhone X is great. It's bright and the colors look accurate and well balanced, but because its display uses OLED technology, it'll color shift at certain angles like the Pixel 2 XL, but nowhere near the same extremes. The X is a lot more controlled when it comes to that. Moving on to the notch. It's something that I think is blown a little out of proportion. After using the phone for a few weeks, I don't really notice it. If anything, it fits seamlessly when apps have been updated to accommodate it. But the ones that haven't conformed, well, then you have a lot of empty space and it just looks off. This will be something that I'm sure will take time for developers to catch up to. Some already have, some may be longer than others, so all we can do in the meantime is wait. Now, the notch does interfere when I'm watching a widescreen video. On YouTube, you can pinch in to zoom out to watch the non-cropped version, but you lose that immersive full display experience. Unless you're watching something truly shot in this taller widescreen format, then you're not able to zoom out, but that's a topic best saved for another day. I like how Apple's use that extra real estate up top to display the time on the left, and then bars for your antenna and Wi-Fi on the right, as well as the battery. I do miss seeing the percentage though. I'm not sure if that's something they'll decide to put maybe inside the battery one day, so instead I gotta swipe from the top right down to see where it's at. Onto the X's other big change, the lack of the iPhone's traditional home button / fingerprint reader, and the addition of facial recognition to unlock your phone using a front camera and an infrared sensor. Let's cut to the chase. Face ID works well, but not as well as Touch ID. Currently, the fingerprint reader is faster and gets it right more often. Over time, I'm sure Face ID will get better, and probably even more so with software updates. I will say that 9 times out of 10, Face ID is spot on. I don't have to aim the phone right up to my face, it'll unlock in the dark, or even when I'm wearing a hat and have a hoodie over my head, which was a concern for me now that the colder weather's upon us. And I found that a lot of times I don't think about unlocking my phone. I just swipe up on the screen and my X's ready to go, almost as if there was no security on it at all. Those are the good moments, but every so often it doesn't get it right, and then I have to try to reactivate Face ID or put in my passcode, which can become a bit of a chore. And it's those moments I wish I did have a fingerprint reader. But honestly, Face ID works pretty well most of the time that it isn't a deal breaker, which is something that I'm really surprised to say. And now that the home button's gone, gestures have taken over. Instead of pressing on the home button to get to your home screen, you just swipe straight up. I actually find this more intuitive than using a home button. Instead of double pressing the home button to switch apps, you swipe up and to the right. Up and to the left works as well, and so does straight up and hold. Control centers now access from swiping from the top right down. To make this easier, turn on reachability in settings, and you can check out notifications from the top left down. As far as performance goes, the iPhone X opens apps with ease, navigates through its UI without a hitch, and I haven't noticed any lag or stutter since I've gotten it. I don't really have to go too in-depth here because it's solid in this department. When it comes to speaker quality, the iPhone X's external speakers are really good. They're a lot louder and fuller than I expected, even though one of its speakers is bottom-facing. Compared to the Pixel 2 and the Pixel 2 XL, which both have two front-facing speakers, they're pretty much comparable in loudness and in quality. In some instances, one sounds louder than the other, and I even find that the 10 sounds a tad brighter overall. Really good speakers either way. The rear cameras produce excellent picture quality. I've gone through a thorough test with these versus the Pixel 2 in an earlier video. Check that out for a more detailed analysis. Overall, I preferred the Pixel 2 for its more accurate colors, as the 10 will sometimes oversaturate and oversharpen more than it needs to. When it comes to video recording, the iPhone X is one of the best in the business. Video stabilization, on the other hand, would sometimes show really jittery effects, so just a bit of warning there. A lot of this was explained in an earlier video I also made about recording in 4K, so I'll throw another card up here if you're interested in that. The iPhone X has an above average battery life. I can go through a full day most of the time with pretty heavy use, and more than that when in moderation. One thing that bugs me though is how the X comes with a lowly 5-watt charger. That'll get you from 0 to 100% in about 3 hours. Because even though it's capable of a faster charge, you'd have to spend the dough on a new power brick. Not to mention a new USB-C to Lightning cable, something I would have expected Apple to include when you're spending so much money on a phone. Pretty much every Android flagship comes with a power brick that supplies fast charging. But hey, what's another $75 when you've already spent $1,000? Am I right? At least there's an emoji! Ha! Jokes aside, the iPhone X is a great phone. It's premium, luxurious even. The display is fantastic, performance is fast and fluid, the speakers are loud and clear, its rear cameras rival other smartphones, and its battery will get you through the day. But is it worth $1,000? If you're dead set on staying in Apple's ecosystem, if iOS is the only mobile OS that you'd ever consider, and you want the latest and greatest from Apple, then yes, the X is worth it for that specific situation. But it's hard to justify spending so much money on something when most of the time I know that phones at half the price can do just about everything a X does. I'd be crazy to say that this will be the last phone you'll ever need at $1,000. There are other phones that have excellent build quality, offer a great display, fast performance, take pictures and video just as well, if not better, last longer battery-wise, and will save you a few $100 at the end of the day. But no phone is perfect. The iPhone X is just Apple's most refined version, but at a price that should make you go,
Hello, everybody.